All right, so we just completed section 1.1 where you brainstormed all the different areas of your life that you contribute to. These are the things that you're doing on a weekly basis that are for yourself, hopefully, and others. And what I tell my clients all the time, my coaching clients, is that if I were to come to your home right now, and let's just say you have a calendar hanging in the kitchen, or you've got an electronic calendar that you use for work, or you have a desk calendar you use at work. Everyone's got some kind of calendar where they kind of keep a loosey-goosey schedule of some type. If I were to look at that, would I clearly, without a shadow of a doubt, be able to assess what your goals are? Would I know what is important to you? And for most people, the answer is no. If I looked at your calendar, I probably would see maybe a birthday party coming up, maybe a doctor's appointment, possibly a few meetings for work. I might see some random events that are occurring, but would I see the very activities that would get you to the goal? So for example, if you wanted to become really good at golf, would I see all your golf lessons on there? If you wanted to be somebody who was managing their weight and getting to a healthy weight loss, would I see the days that you go to the gym or work out or get your walks in? Would I see the places where you're meal planning and preparing each week? Would I see the places where you are taking time out of your day to give back to yourself, maybe just to give yourself some space and downtime, unwind time? Like, would everything that's going to make you a healthy, productive person who's getting to their goals, is it on your calendar? And if the answer is no, and I'm going to say probably almost 95% of you, this is going to be the case. If the answer is no, then that screams volumes to me. Because if the calendar is dedicated to everybody else's needs and demands and wants, but not the things that are important to you, that's a big issue as to where this dilemma is coming from. This is why we need to work on this. This is why this is so important. All right, so we are now going to be covering section 1.2. So if everybody could please turn to 1.2. Now, the first part should already be filled out, and we're going to talk about 1.2, which is document what you do in a day. This is going to be eye-opening. This is that whole honesty piece, right? So on this section, what we're going to literally do is from the time you wake up, and this is something that you will have to be disciplined to do for a day or two. Even ideally, a week would be great, but just at least a day or two of your time needs to be documented. So what we want to do is we want you to focus on, okay, what time you wake up, and what exactly you do initially, like the action. So whenever we're talking about what do you do, I literally could be a fly on the wall observing you and know what you do. This shouldn't be what you're thinking, feeling, questioning, judging your behavior, none of that. This is, as I watch you, you physically get out of bed, you make your breakfast, drink your coffee, take a shower, literally the actions that you're doing. Because keep in mind, your actions will either work toward or pull you away from your goals, okay? So your actions are the things, and if you pay attention to the course, Breaking the Diet Cycle, I talk about the habits being like the paddle strokes in the boat. That's what these are. These are the habits that you have, the daily practices you do. And so these are really going to help us see where you're spending your time. So on the example document I gave you, you can see from 8 to 9:15, breakfast and getting ready for work. Interruptions. This is important, and this is the part where people lose a lot of their valuable time. Interruptions are anything that detract from what you're trying to accomplish. So if in that 45 minutes you're trying to eat your breakfast and get yourself ready to go, but you feel your phone vibrate, you check your email, that's a distraction. You want to jot that down. Anything that takes you away from the task at hand, because ideally you should have time to check your social media on your calendar. Setting aside time every day to answer emails or to check Facebook or to check Instagram. Like that should be a practice unto itself. It shouldn't be conflicting with other things, because when we do that, when we try and kind of double up our time, we end up actually taking much longer to do the task at hand. So interruptions. And then the last column says, what can you change to be more productive? And I put, I cannot turn my phone on until after I eat and get ready. So acknowledging in this particular situation that I checked my email 3 times, I'm acknowledging that if I didn't turn the phone on to begin with, that would not have happened. So we're going to break the day down. So once we move from that task to the next task, it would be 9:30 to 10, drive to work, commute time. Then 10 to 6 is work, right? Now within the work day, there's a lot of opportune times that we can maybe tap into, but for right now, for the purposes of this section, we're just going to focus on blocking that time off as time that you are at somebody else's disposal, right? When you're getting paid to do a job, in theory, you're doing the tasks that they give you during that time. That's time that they're paying for. So we won't micromanage that right now. Then when we get back on your own time from 6 to 6:30, driving home, then we have 6:40 to 7:30 making dinner, right? And see how I broke it down section by section based on the amount of time I'm spending. So anytime you switch tasks, you would also switch the time cell, like the time block, and you would put exactly what you were doing, any interruptions, and anything that you could have changed to be more productive. Now, we want to keep this for about a day, preferably 2. Ideally, 3 or 3 to a week would be spot on, because I think you would catch everything. But I know that this is kind of time intensive. Ironic, probably not ironic, but we'll go with that. It's time intensive. And so we don't want you to spend days and days and days just writing down exactly what you do. But I think if you could do 1 to 3 days of your time, it would give you some really good insights. And maybe draw your awareness to things that you did not realize were consuming as much of your time as they are. Now, this section is extremely important because unless you know what you're doing, unless you know your amount of time spent on different activities, it's very hard to change it. And it's also very hard if you don't know how much you're being interrupted to begin to start putting in good boundaries to where you are not interrupted as much. Boundaries with yourself, boundaries with your phone, boundaries with others. You need to have boundaries that create a good flow in your life. I had somebody ask me the other day, she said, I feel like I can't live a healthy life because my job is so demanding. And she asked me a very good question. She says, Heather, do you think I have to pick the job or the healthy life? And I said, I don't believe in that. I believe in creating balance where there is no balance. And that really comes down to your time management. And when I started to probe this particular client a little deeper, she shared with me that she really doesn't block off anything that is a healthy habit for her. She doesn't eat her lunch in peace and go for a walk. She sits and tries to get more and more work done. She's trying to do 2 things at the same time. And what I really realized in that moment is her stress from her job was because she's not putting the time blocks in that she needs for those healthy habits that she wants. And it's probably true for you as well. This doesn't mean anything has to go away. It just means it needs to be assigned a time block, and that time block needs to be honored. Those boundaries need to be honored, because if you don't have balance in your life, your health, your happiness, your downtime, your productive time, if you don't have a good sense of balance with all that, it's very easy to start to think, I can't do any of it. I can only pick and choose, but you don't have to if you go about this the right way. I prioritize my health, I prioritize my business, I prioritize my family, but I do it all from my Google Calendar. I make sure everything that's important to me has a time assigned to it. So right now, we're going to take a pause, and what I want you to do is I want you to go through and really maybe, this week, plan 1 or 2 days right now, plan 1 or 2 days that you are going to make a double copy of this document, and you're going to carry it with you. And all you're going to do is you're going to write down when you switch a task. Okay, so I went from getting dressed and ready for work to now I'm commuting to work, and write down what time you started, what time you stopped. And it basically is going to be a log that you keep track of for a day or 2, preferably 3 if you can, but if you can't, that's okay. And then that's going to be a great springboard for you moving forward into the rest of the course. Now, you can continue to watch the course through, and I would recommend it, but realize that until we have this, it is very difficult for you to move on in a productive way. So you can digest the information, know what's coming next, but realize that this is a key piece to you progressing through the course and being able to use it effectively. All right, I will be back with section 2.